September 29, 1982, Chicago. 7 people took medicine for a headache. None of them survived. A 12-year-old girl, a postal worker, a new mother, a flight attendant. They had nothing in common except one bottle. Someone walked into a drugstore, took bottles off the shelf, filled the capsules with cyanide and put them back. Police cars drove through neighborhoods with loudspeakers. Do not take Tylenol. An entire nation was paralyzed with fear. 44 years. No arrest. No conviction. The person who did this is still unknown. This is the crime that changed America forever. Chicago, Illinois. September 28, 1982. A perfectly ordinary Monday morning. At 6:33 a.m., a 12-year-old girl named Mary Kellerman woke up with a sore throat. Minutes later, Mary collapsed on the bathroom floor. By the time paramedics arrived, her heart had already stopped. 7 miles away, postal worker Adam Janis wasn't feeling well. He took 2 Tylenol capsules. At 1:33 p.m., he didn't wake up from his nap. Adam's brother Stanley and his wife Teresa came to grieve. They found the same Tylenol bottle on Adam's counter. Both took it for their headaches. Both collapsed within the hour. Arlington Heights nurse Helen Jensen visited the Janis home. She saw the Tylenol bottle, 6 capsules missing, 3 people dead. She said it has to be the Tylenol. The lab tested the capsules. 4 of them contained cyanide, nearly 3 times the amount needed to kill a person. The city of Chicago had a mass murderer. Ola Prince, a United Airlines flight attendant, bought a Tylenol bottle at a Walgreens on September 29th. She was found dead in her apartment 3 days later. Police cars drove through every neighborhood, loudspeakers blaring, "Do not take Tylenol." 31 million bottles were pulled from shelves across America. 7 people dead, a city in fear, and one question that would go unanswered for 44 years: who did this, and why? Security cameras caught Paula Prince buying the bottle at Walgreens. Just behind her, a bearded man. Police believed he could be the killer. A bartender tipped off police. A regular customer, Roger Arnold, had been bragging about owning cyanide. Officers searched his apartment. Arnold was furious at being named a suspect. He hunted down who he thought had reported him. He shot and killed a stranger, an innocent man with 3 daughters, the 8th victim of the Tylenol case. Then, a letter arrived at Johnson & Johnson headquarters, handwritten, demanding $1 million, claiming responsibility for the killings. Signed Robert Richardson. FBI handwriting analysis matched the letter to one man, James William Lewis, a fugitive. A man with a violent criminal history going back to 1966. He had already vanished. Lewis and his wife fled, living under fake names in New York City for 2 months. The FBI searched the entire country. Then a librarian made a phone call. James Lewis was arrested at the New York Public Library on December 13, 1982. He was calm, almost relieved. He denied the murders. He admitted only to the letter. In interrogation, Lewis admitted writing the letter, but denied the murders. He said the letter was just to embarrass his wife's employer. The FBI didn't believe him. From prison, Lewis drew diagrams, showing exactly how the killer could have filled the capsules with cyanide. He called it the drilled board method. The FBI said only someone who did it would know this. In 1983, James Lewis was convicted of extortion, sentenced to 10 years. He served 12. He was never charged with the murders. Not enough evidence. He walked free in 1995. While investigators hunted the killer, Johnson & Johnson faced a choice: protect profits or protect the public. Their CEO made a decision that shocked the business world. 31 million bottles pulled from shelves in 48 hours. Every store, every state, $100 million. Gone. It was the largest product recall in American history. Before 1982, no medicine bottle had a tamper-proof seal. After the murders, Congress passed the Federal Anti-Tampering Act. Every bottle you open today exists because of 7 people who died in Chicago. The Tylenol murders triggered hundreds of copycat attacks across America. In 1986, a woman in New York died from a cyanide-laced Tylenol bottle. The killer was never found. In 2007, investigators discovered the extortion letter had been postmarked October 1st. Lewis claimed he wrote it 3 days after seeing the news, but the postmark proved he wrote it before the murders were even reported. In February 2009, FBI agents raided James Lewis's home in Cambridge, Massachusetts. They removed computers, handwritten notes, and a book, Handbook of Poisonings, with his fingerprints on it. In 2011, the FBI requested DNA from Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. His first 4 bombings were in Chicago suburbs. In 1982, he occasionally stayed at his parents' home in suburban Chicago. Lewis submitted DNA in 2010. No match to evidence on the bottles. Arnold's DNA was taken from his exhumed corpse. No match. The DNA on those bottles belongs to someone who has never been caught. On July 9, 2023, James Lewis died at age 76 in his Cambridge home. Heart and liver disease. He never confessed. He never admitted anything. The case died with him, unsolved. In 2025, Netflix released Cold Case, The Tylenol Murders, new testimony, new theories, new biotech DNA analysis. For the first time in decades, investigators believe an answer may be close. 7 ordinary people, 1 ordinary morning, 1 bottle of medicine. 40. The person who did this has never faced justice, and may never. Mary Riener was 27. She had just given birth to her 4th child 8 days before she died. She took Tylenol for pain after childbirth. Her newborn never knew its mother. Mary McFarland was 31. She worked at an Illinois Bell phone center in Lombard. She took Tylenol at work for a headache. She collapsed at her desk. Her co-workers watched and could not help. Adam Janis died at 1:33 p.m. His brother Stanley and sister-in-law Teresa came to grieve. By that evening, all 3 were dead. 1 bottle, 1 family, 3 funerals. In 1983, FBI profiler John Douglas had Mary Kellerman's grave address published in the Chicago Tribune. They placed it under 24-hour surveillance. Their theory, the killer might visit. He never came. Monica Janis was 8 years old when she lost 3 family members in one day. 40 years later, she said, the investigation was really sloppy. Her family never got answers, never got justice. James Lewis had killed before. In 1978, his 72-year-old accounting client Raymond West was found dismembered in his own attic. Lewis forged a check from his account the same day. Charges were dropped on a technicality. After his release from prison in 1995, Lewis wrote a crime novel. The plot began with a mass poisoning. He appeared on a local television show to promote it. Callers asked him about the Tylenol murders instead. Lewis built a website claiming he was framed. He gave interviews. He enjoyed being the suspect. Retired FBI agent Roy Lane said, Lewis played the FBI like a fiddle. He basked in the spotlight. In 2004, Lewis was arrested in Cambridge, charged with rape, kidnapping, and administering drugs with intent to commit a crime. He had lured a neighbor into his home, used a chemical, she escaped. He walked free again. In 2009, Lewis agreed to an FBI interview. He claimed he wrote the letter 3 days after seeing the news. But the agent confronted him. The letter was postmarked before the deaths were reported. Lewis realized his mistake. Live. On camera, investigators believed Lewis had a motive. His daughter Toni had died after surgery involving sutures made by a Johnson & Johnson subsidiary. Lewis blamed the company. He wanted revenge. A second theory, an insider. Someone inside the Johnson & Johnson supply chain. The tainted bottles came from multiple factories, suggesting tampering happened in stores. But investigators never ruled out a supply chain employee. Some investigators believe Lewis did not poison the bottles himself. Instead, he may have read about an earlier tampering incident and used it as cover for his extortion scheme. The real killer may have had no connection to Lewis at all. Nurse Helen Jensen, the woman who first identified the Tylenol connection, was 86 years old when Lewis died in 2023. She said, we lost our innocence. He was a terrorist and we suffered from his terror for 40 years. Retired FBI agent Roy Lane pursued Lewis for decades. When Lewis died in 2023, Lane said his death ends a lifetime of cruelty to others and a compulsive need for revenge. The case file is still open. For months in 1983, the FBI watched Mary Kellerman's grave around the clock, and the Kellerman family home. FBI profiler John Douglas believed the killer would return. He was wrong, or the killer was too smart. While in custody in 1982, Lewis wrote a letter to President Ronald Reagan. He threatened to use remote-controlled model airplanes to interfere with Secret Service operations around the White House. In 2024, law enforcement partnered with a prominent Texas biotech firm, using technology that did not exist in 1982 or even 2010. They began reanalyzing the DNA from the tainted bottles. An answer may finally be close. The 2025 Netflix documentary Cold Case, The Tylenol Murders, featured footage of Lewis recorded before his death. He looked at the camera and said, "I wouldn't hurt anybody." He said it calmly. He said it with that same smile. Mary, Adam, Stanley, Teresa, Mary, Paula, 7 names, 7 lives. One ordinary morning in Chicago, and a question that may now finally be on the edge of an answer.